I have been gone for a long time. The last time that I covered a Minecraft update of any sort was on June 8th, 2021, the day of Minecraft 1.17's release. In that video, I praised 1.17 as being the best kind of update, an update full of blocks and items that make you think differently about the game. Now, nearly 4 months later, only days after Minecraft Live 2021, Minecraft 1.18 has really taken on the true meaning of being the Caves and Cliffs update. Minecraft 1.18 also makes you think differently about the game again. Now, as I said, I've been gone for a long time. I have the unique perspective of mostly missing out on 1.17 because I rarely played it after my initial video. However, within the past month or so, in ways that aren't obvious to you yet, I've fallen in love with Minecraft again. I've really been enjoying video making, and knock on wood, I've never felt this good about it in my entire career. I'm going to share with you all today why that change has occurred. First off, I'll cover the features of the update itself as it currently stands, followed by the specifics of how I feel about 1.18, and then, for those of you who are willing to hear me out, the other reasons why I've fallen in love with Minecraft again. In order to give Minecraft 1.18 the respect that I feel it deserves, I can't start by naming off its new blocks and items, which is good because Minecraft 1.18 doesn't have any. They all arrived in 1.17. 1.18 is all about the experience, experiencing the update in its most complete form, the original promise of the Caves and Cliffs update. If you missed out on 1.17's features like I did and happened to favor survival mode gameplay, Minecraft 1.18 is one of the most absolutely earth-shattering updates that the game has ever had. Literally. Leading the conversation is Minecraft's new terrain generation. Many people, myself included, fawn over the days of Minecraft Alpha and Beta's terrain. It defines the word nostalgic for me. After Beta 1.8 was released, and until recently, I had felt that terrain generation was never quite as good. Release 1.7 may have helped out those issues a lot, but for an update titled The Update That Changed the World, 1.7 looks like child's play in comparison to 1.18. Its ability to create terrain that can form such natural wonders is incredible. If you've been ignoring the snapshots, seriously, give it a try. If you do give it a try, what features and additions can you expect if not any blocks or items? Well, first off, the entirety of the world's terrain, both above and below ground, have experienced a fundamentally tectonic shift. Above ground, the same basic biomes that you know so well still inhabit the environment, but the way in which they take shape is anything but familiar. Minecraft's height limit has been extended from 256 blocks to 384, ranging from 319 blocks up to -64 blocks down. Because of this, Minecraft terrain is now easily capable of stretching to heights previously unseen outside of amplified terrain and to depths never before seen in the vanilla game. While the arrangement of Minecraft's pre-existing biomes look entirely different from before, it's also important to acknowledge 1.18's 6 brand new biomes. The Meadow, the Grove, the Snowy Slopes, the Jagged Peaks, the Frozen Peaks, and finally, the Stony Peaks. All 6 of these biomes offer differing mob spawn behaviors, with all 3 peak variations being the same. Without explaining every single detail about how every single biome takes shape in 1.18, all I can say is that, for an update titled The Caves and Cliffs Update, Mojang certainly nailed the cliffs portion. But what about the caves? There is a lot to say about Minecraft 1.18's all-new cave generation, both good and bad. While many of these features existed in 1.17, most of what was initially promised has now been fully implemented into 1.18's vanilla survival worlds. Given Minecraft's new depth limit, caves in 1.18 generate from the world's surface all the way to negative 59 blocks and are interconnected with the overworld in really fascinating ways. Finding caves in 1.18 will be easier than ever. All caves above 0 blocks will generate with a base layer of stone, and below 0 blocks, it'll transition into using deep slate. Throughout your underground mining adventure, you might be lucky enough to stumble across the new and absolutely enormous copper and ore veins that spawn, which respectively generate above and below a Y level of 0, are mixed in amongst granite and tuff blocks, and can provide hundreds or even thousands of ores if you're lucky enough to find them. As you start adventuring though, you may become curious as to how Mojang has handled ore distribution as a whole in 1.18. While their exact distribution is subject to change, since 1.18 hasn't been released yet, ores generate in a manner that doesn't feel too unfamiliar, but it's definitely different from before. On screen is the ore distribution chart that Mojang has provided, again subject to change. The thicker the bar, the more frequently that ore will spawn at that bar's respective Y level. All of the colors correspond to the ore that you would most likely associate with that color in-game, so it's pretty simple to read. There's no doubt that, on average, you'll have to dig deeper than you may be used to doing in order to get to the rarest of ores. But honestly, it's kind of worth it for the adventure that is exploring 1.18's all-new caves. These caves are separated into two distinct categories: Noise Cave, which govern all of the cave's shapes, and then Cave Biomes, which are biomes that can inhabit the noise caves, but often do not. The three types of cave shapes are Spaghetti Caves, which are close to the caves that you know, Noodle Caves, which are a more claustrophobic version of Spaghetti Caves, and then there are the absolutely enormous Cheese Caves, making up the caves that open to absolutely enormously sized spaces. To suggest that there are only three types of cave shapes would be grossly underselling the level of variation that Mojang has put into all of them. Not only does the shape of the caves vary wildly, but now there are cave biomes. Cave biomes are not unique cave shapes unto themselves, but rather a decorator that populates the already generated caves to provide a further level of granularity to Minecraft's new underground. As of right now, there are two distinct cave biomes. One, the lush caves, which typically generate below forested areas or below an azalea tree. The lush caves are adorned with a treasure trove of interesting foresty blocks such as drip leaves, hanging roots, glowberries, vines, moss, spore blossoms, and more. And lastly, the dripstone caves, which are filled with pointed dripstone and dripstone blocks. No matter how you feel about the release schedule of the Caves and Cliffs update, there's no doubting that Mojang really took their time and knocked it out of the park with this update, for the most part. Before getting too deep into my opinion though, here's a few smaller, but still key additions to 1.18. First up is a pending feature that will allow for 1.18 chunks to blend with 1.17 chunks, according to the Looking Forward video on Minecraft's official YouTube channel. I couldn't not mention it. And then there's the four new advancements. Caves and Cliffs, which you get from falling from the top of the world all the way down to the bottom, and then Feels Like Home, which you get for riding a strider for 50 blocks but in the overworld. And then third is Star Trader, which involves trading with a villager at the build height limit. Good luck with that. And finally, the Sound of Music, which you get for playing a record disc in a meadow biome. And lastly, the new in-game options. For video options, you can change how the chunks around you update with the Priority Updates option. And then there's Simulation Distance, which allows for you to alter how many chunks away that entities will be updated, including mobs. You can also disable lightning flashes within accessibility options now. And last of all, you can now change what sound device you want the game to use from within the game itself. As far as updates that are currently in Minecraft 1.18, somewhere under 2.5 months from release, it feels like something is missing. It feels like something that's been promised for a long time is absent. So yeah, the Warden. Introduced during last year's Minecraft Live event, the Warden is still lacking from the latest 1.18 snapshots, and because of Minecraft Live 2021, we now know why. The Warden, alongside the third cave biome with which it'll inhabit, have been delayed until Minecraft 1.19's Wild update. While it's definitely disappointing news, I was certainly a lot more excited to see the Warden's re-envisioned implementation for 1.19 than I was to initially see it for 1.17. For a mob as deadly as the Warden is, seeing it get a unique type of cave biome, complete with all unique challenges, is really nice to see. My only worry is being able to entirely mitigate this mob's mechanics by making noise and then walking into a safe spot where you can then deal a ton of damage to it without it being able to reach you at all. Think about Endermen. An absolutely safe way to kill them is to get them to chase you and then walk underneath a structure with a roof right above your head. The Warden getting its own specialty biome brings up another gripe that I have with 1.18, the lack of cave biome variety. Right now, we have the Lush Caves and the Dripstone Caves. Given that 1.18's cave biomes more or less just inhabit the noise caves that generate, I feel like there was a lot more opportunity to implement some more cave biome varieties without needing to add too many more. Think frozen glacier type caves within colder biomes, or magma rich caves within hotter biomes like the Badlands. But given the scale of 1.18 as a whole, these are certainly only minor complaints. The last opinion that I'll give is more of a statement. I need to make something perfectly clear. Throughout this video, I've put a heavy emphasis on the game's more monumental and unique looking terrain, but there is plenty of terrain that isn't like this at all. You may have to explore around for a good 10 to 20 minutes before encountering something truly awe-inspiring above ground and even longer underground, but in my opinion, that only serves to make the update better. I've spent hours and hours just flying around and exploring the terrain and really getting lost in its newfound variety. Now, some of the terrain looks pretty rough, as if someone new with the World Edit smoothing tool just kinda went to town on the terrain, but I think that's okay. That's not a dominant problem, and from the ground, where you'll spend most of your time anyways, it all really comes together. All things considered, there's no doubting that Minecraft 1.18 is one of Minecraft's very best yet. The only gripe that I really have is the game's performance. No matter what computer you're running this on, the sheer scale of Minecraft's overworld terrain is tough for any computer to handle. Thankfully, these framerate issues don't plague the underground due to pretty well handled chunk loading. One thing I am happy to see, despite the lower frame rate and fairly slower chunk loading, is that the game at least feels consistent. Teleporting anywhere feels reasonably responsive. There aren't constant lag spikes that make playing too difficult. All things considered, I'm happy that the full Caves and Cliffs experience is mostly complete, and that we can look forward for what's to come in Minecraft 1.19's Wild update. So here we are. If you've stuck around this long, or you skipped to this point to hear what I had to say, thank you. It means a lot. There won't be any fancy editing during this segment either. So, first of two items, I'm starting a YouTube Shorts channel and a TikTok, both of which will house identical content. If you like the content that I currently make, but also like the idea of it being shorter, more concise, and faster, please consider checking them out. The Shorts channel will be linked in the description down below, and you can find me on TikTok with the handle AntVenom YT. Secondly, reflecting on World Mental Health Day, which just passed on October 10th, I want to let you in on a new development in my life. There's no doubting that I have become one of the most inconsistently scheduled creators making Minecraft content today. Not only have I not had the drive to make content at a consistent rate, I've been uploading progressively less until recently. At one point, I went 49 days between uploads. That's terrible. These issues have extended well beyond YouTube for me at this point as well. My drive to do pretty much anything has been abysmally low for far longer than I would like to admit. I wasn't able to focus on much, and especially not my work. But a couple of months ago, I actually sought out professional help. I consulted my lifelong doctor about the issues that I was having, and he told me that I have ADHD, and that he suspected that I always did. And now I'm actively treating it. Knowing how hit or miss treatments can be, I've decided to not speak up about it until I began really feeling some of the more long-term effects. For me, right now, those long-term effects have been a rekindled spirit for learning new things. It's made me want to kick it into high gear with YouTube again, and it's rekindled a lot of my love for Minecraft itself. My only hope is that I never lose my drive again. I wanted to talk about these developments with you because I know just how difficult it can be to seek out help, even if you already feel that you need it. I spent over 2 years not having the drive that I wanted or needed, but now I really feel that I'm getting back to it with real reason to believe that things might be different this time. Fingers crossed. I feel extraordinarily fortunate to have the support that I do, both in private and in public, and you have a lot to do with that, so thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this video. My name is AntVenom, and I bid you all farewell. Thanks so much for watching.